mood of the flow of the game, and he started being more consistent. And I think that's Brock, and that's what I say a lot with everyone. You never know how a guy is until you see how they respond to adversity. And when you're a guy that the game's not too big for, you work at it. You're not an insecure guy. You can take coaching. You can look at yourself hard. And when you make mistakes, if you're made of the right stuff, you get better from making those mistakes just the more you get to play. And I think that's Brock's perfect example of that.
Talk a lot about not getting too high or not getting too low. And in this season, you've had kind of streams at both ends of that. Is there anything in your past that led you to that philosophy, or how did you come about kind of believing that that's the way to go about the day-to-day operation?
Always. I mean, once you start to make decisions or lead anything based off of ego, you get humbled as fast as anything in this league. I have 1,000 stories of that as a coach or just watching other people. I also have perspective on everything too. I know everyone's extremely positive about us recently, and that's neat that everyone feels that way. And we're excited too, but I also know, if our kicker's not 100% on all those field goals, that we'd be feeling a little bit different. Just one tip ball, 2 plays, maybe where Marquise doesn't come down with that throw and it's an interception, the whole outcome of a game can be completely different. If they get a first down at the end of that game on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, we don't get the ball back, they'd run the clock out and kick a field goal, and we would have probably blown a lead that I thought we should have won. And that's a totally different feeling. So we're just talking 1, 2, 3 plays that could totally change the perception of everyone. And I don't think that totally changes the reality of what's going on a lot, but it definitely changes the perception. So you try to be strong in that way and not let that stuff affect you, and just try to focus on doing as good as you can every single day.
There are some pre-draft scuttlebutt about you guys maybe being interested in Leonard Fournette, and then leading up to the draft, talking about your history and your dad's history and your guys' ability to find running backs, middle, late undrafted guys. Is that something you consciously think of? Is that a philosophy that you have, that we can find guys later, or
I think it's been proven that you can get guys later, but that's by no means makes it that I'm going to say we're never going to draft a running back high. I mean, when you find a special one and you think that makes sense for your team, you should never hesitate to do that. I mean, a big time running back, whether it's Fournette, whether it's Adrian Peterson, who's a top 10 pick, whether it was Terrell Davis in the 6th round, whether it's David Johnson, who I think was a 3rd rounder, or Le'Veon Bell, I think is a 2nd rounder. I mean, all those guys are worth top 5 picks, but they're all found different places. If they came back out, Terrell came out, I promise you he's not going in the 6th round. And he's probably going to the top 5 pick, and that's one of the reasons they won Super Bowls. So you just got to find who you think that guy is, and there's lots of ways to do it.
All right. You mentioned last few games, the difference between 1 or 2 or 3 plays. Earlier in the season, you weren't making those couple of plays. Now you are. Is that the Garoppolo effect, or what's the difference?
I don't know. I mean, you can look into a lot of things. You go back to those 5 games that we lost by 3 points or less. Some of it's quarterback play. Some of it's a penalty. We had a number of offensive PIs that I think cost us a couple games at some points. Maybe we could have overcome that early and it wouldn't have mattered. There's too many things that go into it. And maybe the Garoppolo effect. Ask Robbie if that's why he's been so good on kicks. I don't know. No one knows, but there's so many things that go into it. That's why I don't get too high or too low, and that's why I don't go 100% off analytics. There's a lot of variables to everything, and no one totally knows. You just keep trying to do it, and over time you find out what works.
All right.
All right, guys.
Any more? All right. Actually. We got Jimmy.
I know. It's what is it, negative something, right?
6, I think.
I had a completion with some positive yards last year though, so the career ones are all right.
Go over with you that scenario? Like what do you do with the ball batted back to a quarterback?
No, I think it's more just a reactionary thing. I thought I could make some yards, obviously, but it turned out to be a bad decision.
What is the chemistry and the locker room right now for the team?
I think we have a very good locker room. I said this since the first day I got here. They're very open and accepting of me coming in mid-season like that, and it makes everything a lot easier for myself when you have guys around you who, you know, they're all in just like you are.
You talked about the game, after the game on Sunday, taking advantage of the tight blitzing and the holes that opened up. The Jaguars don't blitz. How much different is that challenge going to be for you guys this week?
I think every week is a different challenge in the NFL. You know, every team's a good team, no matter what their record is, and these guys have very talented defense. So it's just a different type of scheme. A lot of teams are adapting this scheme that these guys run, and it's becoming pretty popular in the NFL.
You've studied schemes for 4 years now in the NFL, Jimmy. How does this break, or what really makes it unique?
It's not that unique. Like I said before, a lot of teams are adapting to this, and so you see it all over the league now. Seattle started it, and now teams are adapting it. But I think the players that they have make it unique. They have very talented players on every level of the defense. It's going to be a good challenge for us on Sunday.
Does that remind you of studying the Seahawks before the 2014 Super Bowl that you were in?
Yeah, even this last Super Bowl, the Falcons, it's a very similar style. So it's you know, it's got its pluses, it's got its minuses, just like every other defense, and it's our job to do the best we can against it.
You guys see an opening in the run game this week? That seems to be the one stat that they're not quite as good at.
Yeah, they're pretty good in all the other ones. You know, we like to get the run game started every week. I think the O-line's been doing a great job for those guys. Los, Matt, Juice, all those guys have been doing a great job back there. So it's just it's one of those things you got to keep working at it, and you know, have a good week of practice, and it'll turn out good on Sunday.
A common theme at all on well, you guys haven't been able to finish drive, you know, in the red zone especially, that you've seen different common theme or different things? What do you
Not one thing specific. I've said this before. It's probably one of the toughest areas in football offensively to execute, and it's just everything has to go perfect down there. If you have a negative play, a penalty, it's tough to overcome those in general, but especially in the red zone like that. So your percentages just go way down when that happens, and we just have to avoid those situations.
What's the key for you to get rid of the ball quickly? To feel confident in being able to get the ball out from the spot quickly when you face pressure?
I think knowing what everyone's doing helps with that, obviously. You know, you get to have an idea of what you're going to do and react to what the defense gives you. And so I think, it's all about keeping the defense off balance.
Just as a competitor, how much do you like the chance to kind of see how you fare against the defense that ranks so highly in so many different?
Yeah, it'll be good. It's a great challenge for us on Sunday. Like I said, though, every week. I mean, we just went against a great defense in Tennessee. So it's, every week is another challenge and a different type of challenge. So it's just we have to change our mindset and thinking of how we attack this defense compared to that defense and go about our week like we did these last couple and have a good week of practice.
What's the thought process on the play where you threw the ball up towards the right sideline? Looks like it was going to be an interception. Marquise comes down with it. When you let it go, it's like...
Yeah, I was trying to throw it away, and I got hit as I threw it. So the ball kind of fluttered out of my hands a little bit. But Keese, I mean, talk about just an unbelievable play, just helping your quarterback. I owe him one for that. I mean, that easily could have been intercepted, but he made a hell of a play on it, and it turned out to be a big play.
Completion on the right sideline in the box score.
Yeah, so I mean, it's people helping people, I guess.
From the time you get to the line of scrimmage to the time the center snaps the ball, what different things do you do? What different things do you have to do typically?
Mentally or physically? What are you talking about?
Mentally.
Everything. Yeah, I mean, and it's in a matter of maybe 5 or 6 seconds, the amount of things you think of are, I mean, it's insane. I don't even know how to describe it to people. My family asks me this all the time, what are you thinking about? And I mean, you're literally looking at 11 guys and you have your 10 guys, and it's kind of like a chess game that happens in 6 seconds, I guess.
Do you have a checklist of things that you need to check for?
You have a basis that you go off of, but I mean, every play is different, situation's different. I mean, whether it's the 2 minute at the end of the game or the first quarter, everything's a little different. So it's just, there's so many variables that go into it.
Are you a chess guy? You play chess?
I know how to play. I wouldn't say it's one of my hobbies.
How are you adjusting your game style for this team?
It's a different type of offense. So obviously, you have to adapt to it and you have different teammates that you have to adapt to, and they have to adapt to how you play. But I think in this last month or so, we've done a good job of that. Just, taking it from the practice field to the game field is a huge part of it, and just preparing week in and week out.
Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how you didn't have a lot of practice reps with Marquise or any of the other starters, and all of a sudden, he's catching 10 of 12 balls. I mean, is that chemistry, is that only happening in practice, or are you working on that chemistry in the locker room, on the sidelines, everywhere you can? It's everything. We're in here for so many hours out of the day that just naturally you're around a guy for that often that, you learn his body language, how he's feeling that day. I mean, you just spend so much time with him. It's kind of eerie how well you know somebody. But I think just the reps we're putting in practice, the extra stuff we're doing, the extra meetings, talking, just seeing what he sees, what I see, it's all the skill position guys. They've really bought into it, and I think we're doing a good job with it.
Coach said that, he says that he never likes to get too high, never likes to get too low. I think you've said in the last few weeks that you feel the same way about things, and that, if a couple kicks had gone differently in the last game, the result would have been differently. Does that strike you at all, or is it one of those things you kind of have to keep tunnel vision in?
You could really only control what's going on when you're out there, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's, there's 3 different phases, and when the defense is out there, half the time I'm not even watching it, to be honest. You're going over what you're doing for the next series. And so it's that's part of the team game, all 3 phases complementing one another. And I think we've been doing a good job of that these last couple of weeks, getting points off the turnovers and special teams helping us out, giving us good field position, converting kicks. It's all tied together. And I think, we're working in the right direction for that.
Is there a couple more that does tie that together?
What do you mean?
Like you said it's all tied together, but you don't control what you do. Is it just a matter of them working? Do they work in concert at all? Like, how does that actually get tied together? Because we've seen
It's the magic of football.
Jimmy, you've created a minor hysteria around here. You've talked about, I don't even know if minor hysteria makes sense, but anyway.
I got you, though.
You've talked about, you basically you're sleeping and doing football. Have you gotten a sense of the excitement, and if so, kind of in what ways?
Obviously my family, just being, they go to the games. They were there this last week, and they were as excited as anybody, I can tell you that. So I felt that excitement. But, other than hearing about it, I really haven't been out and experiencing it, if that's what you're asking. But it's, it sounds like we got a good thing going. The fans are excited. Levi's the stadium was on fire Sunday. So, hopefully it'll be like that this Sunday, and we'll give them another good performance.
It's that time of year we see offensive linemen posting and showing off what gifts they get from the quarterback. I realize it's only been a few weeks, but are you participating in that? Have you taken?
Of course. Come on, man, I can't. It's a surprise for the big guys. They're going to be upset with me if I ruined it right now.
It'll be. I'll find out.
Yeah, you guys will find out.
All right, guys. One more question. When you got here, we asked you, do you see yourself here long term? And you said, Gio just got here, taking it week to week. Do you still feel that way, or do you see yourself here long term?
I think if we handle the Jaguars well, it'll be a good test for us, and finish out the season well, we'll